I saw this one news report of someone comparing it to a quote, gun aimed at Americans' heads.
TikTok is a gun aimed at Americans' heads.
And this is where I think it's making me feel a little bit insane when I think about how much politicians are caring about TikTok in particular. They're okay with real guns, but not metaphorical ones, right? I just find it interesting that these politicians are so suddenly concerned about the safety and the welfare of the American people now when it comes to this company and this business and TikTok, which I'm going to talk about some of the other like cultural impacts of TikTok in a second. When, they're so focused on this, when there are hundreds of school shootings every year and gun violence is the number one killer of children in the United States. Like, let that sink in. Guns are the number one cause of death in the United States for children and teens. The number one. But let's focus on protecting the data of the American people. Look, I'm not saying that's not important. It certainly is. Data concerns, making sure the American people's data is protected, important shit, right? It's just interesting to me that they are coming from this with this like rhetoric of like, oh, we got to protect the safety of the American people. But I digress. I just like, it's also interesting that there's a lot of these politicians that will then hear arguments that people say, oh, well, yeah, the security risk is there, but, it's not the number one issue for us. They'll then pivot and start talking about how TikTok is junk food for our brains. That's what someone from Fox News said. They'll say that it's, the danger of brain rot from TikTok and this dancing app. And it's like, again, it just tells me that you don't understand what TikTok is at all. So maybe the back-end data concerns are all real and that's a valid concern, but they're also like, when they actually talk about the cultural impact of the app, they're not getting it. So then that, for me, it makes me doubt the reality that we are living in. That makes sense.